It's like you're sitting on all this information in the business and you're like, let me keep it for myself. Why?
For this episode, if you consider yourself a young professional with a few years of experience working in marketing at a strategic level and want to level up, this episode is specifically for you. Welcome to the podcast, Andreas.
I'm in the business of marketing. That is making sure the right people know about what we do. And then my main job is to make sure we have a really good strategy in place and that we have skilled people around us who can help us make this a reality. Strategy is just a set of actions that lead to a predetermined goal.
What have you learned that now enables you to do what you do?
It's a very big question, my friend. And then he showed me Google Ads. This is when I realized that math was not about equations. Math was about making money. You need to adopt now, otherwise everything you're like, we're safe. No, you weren't. And all of a sudden you have a brand understanding, because brand just means how people think about your product when they're by themselves, right? Like if I say Coca-Cola, something pops in your head.
What has gaming taught you about marketing?
Marketing and sales often butt heads. How do you ensure they don't?
Marketing people who refuse to take feedback. Oh, this is a spicy take. In my experience.
Brand new.
All right, I've gotten kind of all my juices squeezed. It's all my...
Don't say that.
Wait, I want to do what he's doing. Welcome to another episode of... Where am I looking, Jasper? Brand new by Klickbait. For this episode, if you consider yourself a young professional with a few years of experience working in marketing at a strategic level and want to level up, this episode is specifically for you. By the end of this episode, you'll have some actionable takeaways on how to improve your marketing at a strategic level. And here, Andreas will be sharing some... Andreas, I said it so Spanish. Sharing some stories and achievements, some highs and lows through his careers, and share with us how he got to this point today. Welcome to the podcast, Andreas.
Hola. Hola.
now we're Spanish.
Hola, me llamo Andreas. My name is also Andreas, and I'm not Spanish. So sorry for any actual Spanish-speaking people out there for such a bad accent.
Okay, let's start the podcast with the question we always start with. How would you explain what you do to someone outside of the marketing space?
It's a good question. I think it depends largely on whether or not they work in tech. Because if they don't work in any kind of SaaS setup, my normal go-to answer is usually I do marketing in a software company. That's it, and then just leave it there. But if people have an interest, or if they're in the field and they're like, so what do you actually do in a day? I'd say it's a two-part thing. So I work in marketing, and marketing is simply making sure that the right people know who we are and what we do, so that when they encounter a given problem, that they're like, oh, we should go to Neurons, which is where I work. And as a leader, my job outside of the marketing is to make sure that we have a strategy in place that actually enables us to do that, and make sure that the people we have on the team are the right people, make sure that they grow, and then they have enough room to grow, and that they have a good environment so that they can actually do all this. So very long answer, and to sum it up instead, I'm in the business of marketing. Mm-hmm. That is making sure the right people know about what we do. And then I think my main job is to make sure we have a really good strategy in place and that we have skilled people around us who can help us make this a reality.
Okay. Now, you touched on strategy, and as we know, strategy is quite an important and integral part to what your job entails.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But why don't you explain to the listeners how does strategy correlate to marketing? Why is it important?
It's important because you can do whatever you want to do in any kind of capacity. It doesn't have to be marketing, it can be sales, it can be in your life. But if you just do random stuff, you'll also get random results. Mm-hmm. Where if you say, I would like to achieve X thing, then all of a sudden you have a direction you need to go. And now we're no longer talking about, okay, what are all these things we should do? It's a yes, no binary question. If this is the goal we want to achieve, does this thing I'm currently doing move me further to the goal, or further away from the goal, or closer to the goal? So you need a strategy to make sure that you're spending your time efficiently and you're not just, floundering about.
Actually, there's a good... now we got into a little bit of of what it means to you, but can you actually come up with, or not come up, what is your definition of strategy?
So I recently gave a speak on this, right?
Yeah, and this is actually where we met him. And this is why we're like, okay, we got to bring this guy on.
It's, I think if you Google the word, the definition of a strategy, it becomes super vague and like this mystical nonsense that you only get when you reach the upper echelons of leadership. And it's not. Like, we all do strategies every day. So strategy is just a set of actions that lead to a predetermined goal. So if you say, I would like to travel the world, how do I achieve that? Well, I save some money, I work some extra hours, I budget differently. Cool. Those are the things you do in order to achieve your goal. Congratulations, you're now a strategist. That's it. Then you just kind of scale it up when you move to different kind of things. For example, doing a marketing strategy within within your team is quite simple. Today, you will do the copy and you will do some video, and tomorrow we'll do something else. Then you can take it outside of that, move it into other departments, move it cross-functionally, move it into different businesses. All of a sudden, strategy doesn't become different. It just becomes more all-encompassing and takes more time, but also gives better results. Sorry?
More comprehensive.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
Okay, so I think what would be interesting for me now, you've worked in Neurons here for the last, how long time?
About 3 years.
3 years, sorry.
Yeah.
And then Illumi before that.
Yes.
For 6 years?
5 and a half, yeah.
So, okay, you helped scale Illumi, and you developed a strategy there. What would you say has changed between the strategy you said from Illumi and the now Neurons?
I'd say that I didn't scale Illumi, and I didn't scale Neurons. It was a monumental effort by a team of very skilled people. I was just a part of the whole thing. What's changed dramatically is that we are in marketing. Like, we are in the business of change. So the things that would lead to success 5, 6, 7 years ago is not the same that would now. So the go-to-market approach has changed, and go-to-market, for those who don't know. So we should probably clarify for a little bit. I was warned about these jumping figures on the table, that if I use lingo,
like that you call out yourself.
Yeah,
like
if I use lingo,
yourself,
I should explain. So go-to-market just means, what do we do to bring this message to the wider public that is our relevant audience? What's the plan for it? The go-to-market changes. So now you have less measuring devices than you did before. GDPR hit, cookie regulations, Safari stopped tracking, all of these things. So you can do the same, but you won't know what the outcome was. So what Illumi was the reason it was easy to generate a lot of revenue and a lot of leads is there's a huge demand in the market. It was an LMS, learning management system. So that has a lot of searches. So you just got to be really good on Google and making sure that your landing page is better than your competitors. So basically the name of the game was be better than your competitors, and you're like 50% there. And now you just got to scale it, right? In Neurons, it's different, because where Illumi was in a red ocean product, so there's a lot of competition, Neurons was much more of a blue ocean product. We're much more defined market 3 years later than we were when I started, but there's not a lot of people who go out and Google for predictive AI and so on. Neurons was an AI before AI became a wave, and we're really, really lucky that it happened, because we could ride that as well. So my go-to-market in that regard would change, because now I'm not just beating a competitor on Google. We actually have to go out and create demand, brand awareness, all of these things that that generate long-term value, but you still have to be able to show short-term return on investment. So you kind of got to have a dual-track approach to this, where in Illumi it was just all in on lead generation, see what we could do, right? And it was great. Like, made so much money. It was really good.
Actually, now you got into a term, so I don't know if I want to jump back and forth here, but I really like this the dual-track approach that you mentioned, because a lot of people have a difficult time kind of tracking, understanding how to attribute success to both of those things. There's the performance side that kind of functions with the lead generation and have a direct influence, at least attributable to, let's say, the performance marketing side. And then there's the brand awareness approach. How do you actually distinguish what's more important and how to build what?
I think there are many questions inside that questions.
Yeah.
And there are many answers as well. Let me answer 2 different questions, and I hope I land somewhere in the vicinity of yours. I'll keep it briefer than the other answers. When you talk dual track, what I mean is both that, let's say you want to launch an ebook, right? That takes some time to create. Now AI makes it all easier, but it takes some time to create. If you just sit down and write, and then when it's completely ready, you launch it, then you've waited for a long time to be able to generate any kind of return of investment. But if you then say, okay, what is the topic I want to write about? Well, I want to write about, optimists, which is the name of these guys on the table. Then you segment it into the different topics, and each of those is a standalone blog post. So as soon as you've written one chapter of your ebook, you publish it as a blog post. And when you then do that, you get small wins all the time. When you've done it all, you compile it all into an ebook, and then you launch it. So you maybe have 10 wins and one big win versus just the one big win. The beautiful thing about this is you get iterative feedback, right? I think it was Sheryl Sandberg who said, done is better than perfect. You should just get it out there, get some feedback. And if you can see people go, oh, this was amazing, great. If they say this was shit, maybe change your direction. If you just launch and everyone thinks it was bad, cool. You have a lot of sunk cost in it. So the one answer is you get a lot of small wins instead of waiting for the big win, hoping that it works. And then you asked about attribution. And that's a different thing. How do we make sure that everything we do on the brand side works? How do we make sure everything we do on performance side works? The answers are also different, but basically all the tools you have that allows you for measuring as much as possible. Like, for example, we have Dream Data that will help you do some stuff. Shout out to Stefan and the team. They will help you track a ton inside the funnel. But there's a lot they won't help you track. And maybe there's a different tool that can do that. I'm not going to sit and name a lot of other ones, because then it becomes a different episode. But even if you can't measure it, you should have proxy metrics like share of voice, branded searches, direct, and so on, which you can sort of guesstimate and say, are we moving in the right direction or not? But if you say you launch this podcast and you get, 100 listens on it, people are like, that's not a lot. Okay, but you had like 100 people listen to your voice. That's really good. How do we make it 110? How do we make it 200? All these things. So you just need a direction that gets you closer to the goal, right?
I feel like we're getting coached now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to shamelessly use this. So
please.
How would you then apply these two tactics to a hypothetical podcast that talks about branding? How could you use both these approaches to improve both the quality but also the interest of the audience in it? And I'm ready to take notes now.
If you wanted to make sure it was relevant for the audience, you probably, let me not say you, let me say me. What I would do is I would start by figuring out who is my intended audience, my ICP, ideal customer profile. And I'd say these 5 or 6 people. Then I would call these 5 or 6 people, or I would message them on LinkedIn and say, I'm going to create a podcast that is aimed at people for you, like you. Can I interview you for 20 minutes on what it is? I will buy you lunch or whatever it is. I'd record the whole thing. I'd put it into some crunching machine, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever. And I'll ask it to help me find commonalities in between these 5 or 6 candidates. And I'll say, what should my podcast be about? So it's customer specific and customer centric. So for those on listening to this podcast, this is also marketing, right? So it's not just podcast related. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking to the person you want to talk to about topics that they care about in ways that they care about. Because over the course of like 20 minutes conversation, you'll find out. Then once you have that, you need to find speakers that would be relevant for that audience. I would brief them up front and say, we want to talk to these people at this level about this thing, right? So either make sure it's really high level or make sure it's really approachable. So, for example, I'm launching a conference with 2 friends, Casper and Vicente, Growthphoria, and we have like 15 years in the industry. We're super nerds, and we're dinosaurs. So we needed an event and a conference that was like very nerdy. So we have built an event for us. That also means that we know that 80% of people won't find it relevant, and that's okay. That's not what it was made for. Same thing I would do with this podcast. I'd figure out who do I want to be there and create as much value for this group as well. Then I would take what you're already doing. You have a long format thing, then you chop it up into smaller segments. Cool, now you generate a lot of value. But I would again make sure that each of these smaller segments was valuable for that person individually. So let's say you have a longer segment on how to do a podcast. Maybe one segment is equipment, and the second is sound settings. And then there's how to rig your own soft light, right? All of these things I would do as individual things because it establishes you as an authority within your field. Now, all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I'm actually interested. I've seen a bunch of stuff around this. Let me go check it out. And then I probably wouldn't listen to the podcast episode that you did there because I feel like I've seen it from all the snippets. But I might subscribe and check the next one or check the previous one, right? So I would think, how can I get short-term wins while building long-term momentum?
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
So
I'm not as stupid as I look, but it's very close.
Okay, so he'll invoice us for this for this consultancy.
So what have you learned that now enables you to do what you do? What were the biggest steps there?
It's a very big question, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there are any monumental steps.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's incremental step changes. Like you don't know you're being nudged, but then you look back a few years and you're like, Jesus. Think of it like, a comet flying through space and a tiny rock hits it and the comet doesn't know, but 200 kilometers later it's in a different galaxy. That's kind of how I feel. I think if I had to make any like monumental thing attributed, it was mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
I think mentorship is a very strong thing. It's basically taking all the mistakes that other people have done on their path. And then they're saying, oh, you're about to fall into this pit. I was there. You can just walk around it. And you're like, oh, shit. So all of a sudden you have this opportunity where you can fast track your own learning. So the one monumental thing I did was my first real mentor, like the one who was like, now it's a mentorship, Mohan. Mm-hmm. Absolutely incredible man. Like he has laid such a foundation in the way I approach anything business related. After him, I was like, I need other people. So I started reaching out. So this is probably the biggest thing, is if there's something I don't know or something I would like to learn, I just reach out to people. And like LinkedIn, and I say, hey, can I buy you lunch once a month? You don't have to do anything, just show up, I'll prepare the whole thing. You just have to think out loud while you eat. So I think maybe the biggest difference between Andreas now and Andreas then is all the times I had that thought. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't know how to do something. There must be someone out there who does. Let me ask them. Being extremely okay with being the dumb guy in the room and saying, I don't know. Because I only have to do that once for every question, then I never have to ask the question again. Yeah. So you have these cumulative changes over time. I didn't answer your question, but I hope I did anyway. Well,
it's certainly a good nugget of advice.
Actually, I really like this approach. I mean, this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of adopt, some earlier and later than others. Then what would you say was the primary motivator for you to seek this kind of mentorship in the beginning to get on this path? When did you realize?
I think it was a combination of things. It's realizing that you have a lot of potential, but you don't really know how to do the thing. And it's being forced to change. I used to be very, very stubborn. I still am to some degree, more mellow now than I used to be. But when all of a sudden you're forced to change based on either I do this thing or, I'm just stuck. This is me for the rest of my life. When you have that kind of realization, it's terrible. Because so I'm a man of like 800 dad jokes and quotes. They just live in my head. Yeah. Half are from really smart people and the other half is just made up by me. So if it sounds good, just act like it's mine. It probably isn't. But life will repeat lessons until they have been learned. And for example, if I walk into a room and the first thing I do is say, yo, then there's some sort of stamp on me. And I don't know what that stamp is until someone clarifies it for me. And now I have a choice. Do I walk into a room and say that or not? That wasn't actually a real example. It was just made up, right? But the motivator is, if I have all this potential and someone else can help me realize it, okay, cool. And then you have this period of time where you don't see the results. And you kind of just have to hope that it works. And then the first time you see a result, going, oh, when I did this thing, it worked. Now you have the motivation to drive. So I just had that one time, and then I just kept going. Like, now I can't get enough.
So in terms of personal mentorship, or was this more kind of on the business side or on a personal side?
It was 100% on the business side. Yeah. Then it turns out that Mohan specifically is an absolutely incredible man. So it also became on the personal side, right? And then I'm also a mentor through some organizations here in Denmark. And I've realized that if you only keep it strictly professional, the rate of change is lower than if you also make it personal. So if people are vulnerable and like willing to say, I feel really uncomfortable when I do something, that does require a base level of trust. But then like the pace people can develop with is crazy. Like, yeah.
And so as an extension of this, now we're getting into kind of self-help territory.
Yeah,
I kind of like it though. No,
do you want to move into marketing again?
Yeah, no, but then so just to round this kind of part out, what do you reckon is the best piece of advice you've gotten?
Welcome to Klickbait's HR podcast. The best piece of advice? Can I come back to you on that? Because if I had to pick one, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for me.
Maybe what's your favorite advice you give to your mentees?
That was a fly, by the way. I wasn't just whistling. It's never you and me against each other. It's always you and me against the problem.
Okay.
Because...
Is that oftentimes something that has to be said? Like, do you often feel like that dynamic kind of develops when you sit down with
in the beginning,
people?
yes. Let's say... what's a good example here? I'll take a personal one, right? My girlfriend, Michelle, incredible woman. If I walk home every day and I drop my bag on the floor and it annoys her, I don't know that. So that means she walks around with some sort of annoyance. And she might feel, okay, if I tell him this, he'll feel like an attack. He's very exhausted. He comes home from a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So she might not say that. But if she did, and I took it as an attack, it's like, oh, I'm really exhausted, I've had a long day, then all of a sudden it becomes her and I against each other. It never is that. Like, we're homies, we're best friends. It's you and me against the problem. The problem here is that you feel some sort of frustration at me leaving my back. That's a very minor example. Now, let's say that you had a behavior inside a business that is stunting your growth.
Yeah.
Let's say that when you have to present to senior management, you... over-explain and you use too many details. But in your world, that is exactly how you like to have information. So if we have a good level of trust, I won't have to say it. But in the very early on of our relationship, I might need to remind you if you become very defensive. So I think that's, especially in heated situations, it's an important one.
So you would say this is between you and the mentee, or the mentee and they're kind of, if it's a scale-up or a startup, they're co-founders or the people they work with?
Let's say you and Janice had a disagreement, right? And it become heated about something because you care deeply about it. And sometimes you just have to, remind yourself that, like, we're on the same team. The problem is not each other's behavior. The problem is, the podcasting equipment. And then, like, okay, and then you've reset the conversation. Then you're fine, right?
We're always against each other, actually.
No, we're just against the podcast equipment.
Yes.
See, it's
Janice leveled up.
Yes, it's always the tools you blame, right? That's what we take away from this. Yes,
it's the tools. Yeah.
Okay. Just for future references, we can cut this out. This is Jasper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry.
My good friends call me Janus.
You have to say that because I've actually called it 3 times or something like that. Yeah. Thank you for coming out. So this is a really good example, right? You gave me feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because it's you and me against the problem, which is the name call, I'm good.
Yeah. Way to bring this back, actually kind of full circle loop it. All right.
So, Anas, what were we talking about?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. I think Victor was about to say something.
Jesus Christ. We're all in this now. Maybe if we take it a step back now, I really like this kind of self-development. I think it's an extremely...
Some relationship advice. We really got the full
we've gotten the full spectrum
of
HR. Now we go back kind of to where it all started then. Maybe how did you get... kind of into this trajectory in the first place? Have you always known you're going to work in marketing
Oh dear
in
God,
a
no.
strategic level?
Oh dear God, no.
Okay,
No,
so
no, not
where
at all.
where did you say where did Andreas start his career? What do you reckon?
I played a lot of computer. Like I
Games.
played a lot of computer.
Nice. Welcome.
When I was like 17 years old, I broke up with my girlfriend to play more World of Warcraft.
You gotta have your priorities.
Yeah, and I had problems. Like generally, I had problems. But what happened was I became really fast at typing on a keyboard and really good at like keeping overview and so on. So then you fast forward a few years and you realize, okay, I probably need to do something with my life. And I got a job in tech where the job was you need to write texts. I was like, I can write really fast. So I started doing this, and turns out it was SEO texts. And after writing 15 texts of 300 words each per day, 3 months later, I said to the CEO, I'm mentally drained. Like, you need to give me something else. I can do much more than this. And he goes, do you know Google Ads? I was like, no. And then he showed me Google Ads. And this is when I realized that math was not about equations. Math was about making money. And all of a sudden, it became interesting. I was like, wait. So I can write these things in certain ways on Google and the company makes money? It's like, yes. That set me off because all of a sudden someone showed me the impact, like the outcome, not the work, but like the intended results. That was interesting. And then I realized I have a really good knack for it. And then it became super interesting. I love marketing. It's really, really nice. Over the past 5, 6, 7 years, I think I've fallen more in love with like leadership, strategy, business optimization, and so on. But marketing is my heart child. I don't know if that's an expression in English.
So then, besides typing fast, what has gaming taught you about marketing?
Oh, tons. I was in one of the top guilds in Europe. I was leading it with a friend of mine.
In World of Warcraft, right?
In World of Warcraft. And when you're like 16, 17-year-old and you're managing 24 other people that are like, 30 to 50, they're real adults and you're just trying to wing it. You sort of realize you have to communicate in certain ways. You have to organize a lot of things. There's a lot of logistics in it. People have real jobs. Someone's not showing up and so on. And all of a sudden it became communication. It became optimization. It became thinking outside the box, solving things before, anticipating future problems and then solving them beforehand. So when I stepped into business, I realized that my biggest skill is that I can solve things really, really fast and really efficiently.
Maybe, okay, that's a really interesting, like almost a combination of the two, right? You've experienced it in the game and then brought it in. Yeah. Do you have an example of a kind of a bigger issue you've experienced in one of your teams and where you came in and solved it kind of
from a gaming perspective?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head, no. But there are many times in my communication, for example, when you're 16 years old and you've been like banging your head against a dragon or something like that for 4 months in a game, and you are exhausted and you spend hours and hours and hours and you feel like, oh my God, if we kill this, we've accomplished something, which we haven't. Like we slayed some pixels. It doesn't matter, but it feels big. And then someone makes a mistake. The first time you hear yourself being angry in a game about someone who has like real life priorities, you really reassess your communication. And I think I've had those experiences over time. So now also I become more in tune with how I communicate with people, especially in the team, because how I say things matter a lot. Like I got some great feedback half a year ago from, so I have a head of marketing. Yeah. And I wrote to her like, hey, do you have 2 minutes? And she said, I do, but in the future, just can you write, do you have 2 minutes about this? Because then you don't trigger that, oh, there was something wrong in people in general, right? So she said she didn't feel it, but others might. It's like a really good advice, actually. So now I do that all the time about everything. And I think a lot of it stems from being in many situations that have been highly tense, highly focused, highly competitive, and then having to control your emotions.
You touched on the value of being efficient a moment ago.
Yes.
And we see this actually with a lot of the companies we talk to, we work with, that they have a lot of big ideas and ambitions, but oftentimes they really struggle kind of making things happen, or it takes a lot longer than they would like to. Do you have any words of wisdom on what has helped you? What could help others to become more efficient and get things rolling?
I'm not smart enough to have words of wisdom, but
Just words.
But
That's
I
fine.
I can think of words, and then if you can just then post that, it just make it sound better. Yes, I do. I do a lot of consulting, and not as much anymore because of the kid. But I see the same kind of things in most companies, that they all have really, really high goals. They all want to achieve a lot of things. But here's another one for you. A business doesn't rise to the level of its goals. It falls to the levels of its processes.
Yo, can we put this on the
Yes.
The neon sign.
So basically you have, like, we want to achieve this revenue. And they're like, okay, how? We're going to create a strategy. Cool, let's create the strategy. And then we have this goal. We have the really good task for how to get there. And one of them could be marketing needs to generate this amount of leads. And then marketing can't generate that amount of leads. And all of a sudden your entire plan falls to shambles. And then instead of solving that problem, now it becomes a mudslinging thing of like, oh, it's their fault, it's their fault. No, it's sales, it's marketing, all these things. Basically, you can boil any business's success down to one equation. It's focus times intensity. If you focus on the right things really intensely, then you're good, right? So you can, for example, say a CEO should focus mainly on what are the biggest problems in the business or the biggest opportunities, those two things. And if they do that consistently, then over time, the amount of value they will create is immense. But the CEO also needs to have a lot of information, a lot of data and so on. The time is, they don't have all that time. So they need to have teams that understand this equation as well. So I think a lot of time when you go out into business, like if you listening to this and you either have a business or you want to start one, how much of the stuff you're doing is not useful or seems important but doesn't really move the needle? And if you're like, oh, we don't have any of that, hire me. And then the last thing is just like write a list of the things and then sort them in a list of how much impact would they have on the business. Start doing them.
So to me, it sounds like to be as let's say capable as possible in moving this needle, you first need to define what your goal is, right? And it's a very basic level, and then the tactics to kind of achieve that.
Sure, and then you need focus, and then that's where the chain usually falls off. It's okay, we want to do this thing. Cool, then do that thing. Don't come up with something else tomorrow or something else. Either you achieve the thing and you win, or you learn something and then you move on. But don't just stop for the sake of starting something else, because you're just going to leave a bunch of half-built houses. Just keep going until you reach a sort of conclusion. A conclusion can be, we found a new thing we want to pursue instead. That's fine. But it shouldn't be like the default way of working, right?
But there we come back a little bit to the done is better than perfect mentality, right? Mm-hmm. Where you also need to be able to call it when you're done and not like linger on it too long, right? Yeah. Have you had it in the past where that line has been quite difficult to hit? Like, when do we stop optimizing it and move on?
Not really.
Okay.
I think it's a lot. It's an alignment question.
Yeah.
If you've ever been in a team with me, obviously 10 years ago versus now has changed dramatically. But I believe in having a team of really high performing people, right? And we define in the team what good looks like and what high performing looks like. So everyone knows this is 100% achieved. And if it's not 100, it must be below. So people go like, I'm okay with shipping now, but I could do more. It's like, that's fine. And then if we hire smart people, we should trust them to be able to kind of navigate that themselves. So it's not something I've encountered often, no. I think people are really good specialists, especially they know what 100% looks like and what 90% looks like.
A little bit different topic.
Sure.
But I'm curious because quickly, how big is the team you have that you're working with right now?
Right now we are 11.
11.
And, yeah.
Can you give a rough breakdown of how that looks like?
So we have a videographer, a content creator, a copywriter, a designer. I have a head of marketing and performance marketing specialist, a growth basically now. She started as performance marketing, but now she's just a growth because Whatever she touches, it turns to gold. So that's really nice. Then 3 salespeople, and then we're hiring a marketing coordinator today, actually. So,
Okay. Out of all these, which one would you say is the most underrated function in the marketing team?
It's like saying which part of a car is the most underrated, right? I think anything you remove makes the car stop. So it's very difficult for me to pick something out.
Well,
But I
maybe you
would
don't
say
have to remove it, but it's more like you may still have it, but maybe you don't give it enough resources or time or attention. So what do you see as being undervalued, whereas actually that role can give so much more value than many people think?
I think the head of marketing, which I know is not the answer you're thinking, but the skill of all the people in a team is the output you have. And my head of marketing, the more time she has to make sure that the team has like clean runway, has all the stuff they need, have all the marketing materials ready for them and so on, the better they can operate. So
the coach being more important than the individual players.
100%. Like if you ask her, what are your main tasks? She'll say people, tasks. Because like that's how we get stuff done. Obviously, as a manager, you have your own tasks as well. But I think if you look into a lot of companies, like I've coached a lot of head of marketing as well, mostly what they do is they're like task assigning, they're double checking and so on. Like you have really smart people, show them what good looks like and just hold people to that standard.
Yeah.
And then the head of marketing can focus on actually making sure that everyone else has the environment to perform.
Yeah.
Can I ask,
Yes.
what do you think? What is the most underrated role?
No reverse card him.
I would say it's maybe also a little bit of a cop-out question, but I would say it's the team members that understand to work at the cutting edge of development. Because we, for example, talk a lot about all the things happening with AI. How can we incorporate that? And of course, you have these big looming questions like, oh, is AI just going to overtake us all? And are we going to all be out of a job in 5 years? Which I don't think is the case. But I also do think that it is more than just a buzzword or more than just a hype that will be over in 3 years. Definitely. So it will have a lasting impact on all of our work lives. And I think being able or having a team that is open enough to embrace that and incorporate that to become a more efficient team and basically multiply their output or increase their quality of work, those will in the future outpace those that kind of like stick with the more old school methods of not incorporating it.
So less of a role and more of a people with specific mindset.
Yes. So
I agree a lot. Yeah. We literally just had a.
Is that? I mean, you're deep in it with neurons, right? But maybe you have some anecdotes to share on AI, on how you at Neurons actually use AI tools
in marketing. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm not even making this up. I'll show you my calendar after. Before I drove here, we had a session where everyone in the team presented an AI use case that they either currently using or that they would like to set up in their current workflows. Yeah, legit. And then we have different people, right? Like we have a copywriter, Barland. He's mastered prompting in ChatGPT. Like when you and I write a prompt, we're like, "Hello, I would like for you to clean this table," right? Hello. And he has prompts look like this, and he uses it collaboration. He builds projects inside it. Now, for example, he built something we could just upload a PDF, and it'll automatically spit out. I'm not going to say what it spits out, but like many different things. Yeah. And you're like, Jesus, he's automated the whole thing. Then you have something else. Martin, our video guy, for example, he's now looking into how do we use generative fill inside videos. Yeah. automatic subtitles. We have our salespeople using recording tools, breaking down action plans for how they can upskill themselves. And so there are many, many different things. And then neurons in and of itself is an AI, right? Like it was built on a vast amount of data sets. Like we're talking billions of data points. I don't know. Have you ever seen Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Where she gets that brain scanner on her head? Literally, that's what neurons used to do for like 10, 15 years for IKEA, Spotify, Lowe's, all these kind of companies, TikTok. And all these points have been turned into an AI. We have a literal astrophysicist hired, and we have multiple people that when they talk about math, I clock out. I don't understand what's going on. And when you have this, you kind of inspired towards, we need to be at the forefront of AI technology and adoption. Because I completely agree with you, right? AI will not replace marketers anytime soon, but it will replace, marketers who don't use AI will be replaced by marketers who use AI. I will hire people in the future. If I have two really good candidates and one loves AI and one doesn't, I will hire the one who loves it. Because I just know that person will find ways to automate stuff and make it easier for them, which is good.
Yeah, it's like refusing to use Excel 20 years ago.
Precisely.
You know, you're like, no, I want my pen and paper.
No, exactly.
I still refuse today.
Well, luckily you're in marketing.
Yeah.
Well, we still need it.
We
but
still need it.
But it's actually a really good thing because we had so what I said to the team like a few months ago is either you change now, you adopt everything now, or you wait until you're forced to change, and then you need to learn it anyway. So you might as well do it while you're being paid to change. Like, I will pay any salary you need and any software you need. Let's go. And now it's just like it's part of what we do. And we'll test something, it doesn't work, cool, then we'll move on, right?
What part of AI do you feel though is a little bit overhyped? So a lot is justified, but which part of it do you feel maybe people overestimate its abilities?
I'm not sure people overestimate any of its abilities. I think that more the opposite is true.
Okay.
I think people underestimate it greatly. Every time I see a LinkedIn post or something where people go, oh, but it can't do this. That's true. But you need to attach the word yet to it, right? Like the pace of change we see now, where it's like the rapid technological advancement. I think it's very difficult to overestimate it. Google just unveiled VO3.
No, that looks amazing.
Which is insane quality.
Insane.
Like looks so like this could be VO3 and no one would know, right? But if you just scroll half a year back, people are like, but the people don't look real in the videos.
2 years ago, you had Will Smith eating pasta,
exactly, right?
And
so these are the things where I don't think anything is overestimated. I think people underestimate the rate of change, right? And you need to adopt now, otherwise everything you're like, we're safe. No, you weren't. So yeah.
But then maybe some of the loom and doom is justified.
Yes, I think so. I'd say that there are certain things we should be worried about. I don't think we should be afraid yet. But I think certain things we should be worried about, like people giving personal information freely away because they don't realize it's being trained on. People giving confidential information. That's now. A few years from now, it's probably more of a systemic change. Let's say that you and I sit in a conversation pre-internet, and we're talking about what the best pizza slice in Brooklyn is.
Yeah.
And then it's a conversation for 2 hours about what the best pizza slice is, and we compare notes. Google pops up. Now it's no longer a 2-hour conversation. It's a one Google search. I go, what's the best pizza slice in Brooklyn? And then I get 300,000 results that kind of argue back and forth. But I still have to have an informed opinion. Now, I go to ChatGPT and say, what's the best pizza slice in Brooklyn? And it'll give me one answer.
And maybe one more that is made up.
That's also true. So the pizza slice is one thing. Like, take the scenario and then just roll it out. Let's say you are studying to become a doctor and you need what is the best way to cut an artery. then it'll give you one answer. And it depends on the context and all these things. And I think people will have access to more and more information, but less and less, be less and less inclined to actually use it. So they'll look for the one-stop answer. They'll look for these things, and they'll drown in information overload, or they will just accept whatever answer comes up as the sole truth. And then over time, we just become dumber as a species.
What a nice outlook.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
This is the Feel Good podcast.
Yeah.
So in terms of, okay, just to kind of maybe make it a little bit more positive, what are you most excited about in terms of, let's say, short-term AI application for your team?
Short term?
Yeah, let's say in the short term, what you're excited to do.
Yeah, no, tons of things. Like right now we have so much work and so much time. Like the better we become at using AI, the more time we have, which means we can create much better quality in the things that we do. We can think much more strategically about the thing. It'll, if we can use it right, it's a superpower. Like it can supercharge everything we do, and it can make us, like every competitor who don't use AI, have a nice day, it's done. Like you're no longer part of the equation, right? But then all of a sudden it becomes a conversation of how good you are at marketing times how good you are at using AI. And now it becomes a pace for how much can you grow as a team, right, and as an individual. I think that's very interesting. Like AI will supercharge the people who are really good at using it.
Shall we close up the AI topic?
Yeah, I think so. It's a very interesting thing. I can hear you work in AI. I can hear how excited you and your team are with
Is there something you would like to cover before we move to the hot takes?
Yeah, actually, I guess I would be most interested in understanding kind of go-to-market through your lens. First of all, what does that mean to you?
It means the plan we do to win.
Yeah.
Like we have a product, we need to bring it to the market, and we need to create some revenue, and we need to create some happy customers.
And before you joined Neuron, they already had their own strategy. How big was the team when you joined?
Neurons, I think, was like, I don't know, 50, 60 employees. The marketing team was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how do you reckon kind of that adapted as you joined the team?
So we have very, very strong leadership and have always had it. And I'm not saying this because it's my current employer. I'm saying this because it's like really true, right? We have like a literal scientist is our CEO. Like he's one of the world's foremost neuroscientists. And our COO, I have never seen any man being able to hold so much information at one time. It's incredible. So we always had a really good, strong foundation. The marketing team was also in a pretty good state, actually. The person who was managing the team before I joined had just hit a limit of their current pace, and now wanted to, let's see what we can do beyond this. So when I joined, there was 2 designers that was in product that was moved over to marketing, and then in the last 2 years, haven't hired a lot of people, but the way we work has changed because the strategy has always been. Let's create a webinar. Let's create a webinar and post more on LinkedIn. That's not a strategy. That's a Wednesday. So we create more holistic strategies, and the marketing department is not a support function for the rest of the business, unless you want it to be. In which case, it's a very good thing, right? I see it more of it's a growth engine for the entire business, right? Like it can do sales enablement for you if you want that, and we can create stuff for sales. Sure, we can also maybe build some systems for how sales can actually access the information. We can help on GRR, gross revenue retention, which basically just means how good you are at keeping your customers inside the business. We can also generate new leads. We can help in, inbound motion. There are all these kind of things. So I think before I joined, what marketing had as a strategy was very small. Oh, hello. What marketing had was very small, and now it's a lot more all-encompassing.
And then I guess what would be interesting, especially for me to understand here, is how did you go from small to all-encompassing? Like you couldn't have taken everything in one go. How did you decide which kind of stepping stones and building stones to build upon?
Conversations, my friend.
Yeah.
I know that I don't know everything, but I don't know what I don't know. So
Jesus Christ, you're a philosopher.
I need to go and have a lot of conversations with the people who are much smarter than I am, and it usually starts with the customers.
Yeah.
So I go into our CRM. I see who is using the product in a really good way, and who's using it in a, like medium sense, and who's not using it at all. And then I reach out to all of them, and I ask if they, if they're open for an interview. And then I start having conversations, and you start seeing a picture of how people refer to your product in your company versus how other people inside the company say, oh, but they should think this, which is cool, but they're currently not, right? And all of a sudden you have a brand understanding, because brand just means how people think about your product when they're by themselves, right? Like if I say Coca-Cola, something pops in your head. If I say neurons, I want my audience, which is a specific ICP, to think about something specifically. And if I have customer conversations and they don't say that, then okay, is my understanding wrong, or should we change something in our approach? Then you talk to people inside the organization, and your biggest stakeholders will be product, it'll be a CX, so CSM and whatever the function is called in your business, and sales. Marketing people who refuse to take feedback. Oh, this is a spicy take. In my experience, marketing people who refuse to take ideas, suggestions, and feedback from other departments are easy to beat. Just because then all of a sudden it's me and the entirety of the Neurons organization versus one person in marketing in a different company. Like it's not fair, right? Like I have maybe 80 people who come with ideas. We literally have a post box, like one of those old school Danish red ones, stamped on the side of the marketing room for people to leave ideas and campaign stuff. So when you create a strategy, if you don't take product, sales, CX, and so on into consideration, then you're painting a picture with one color. You need all the information, and now you have an informed data decision foundation you can build something on. And now you just say, okay, I placed my goalpost over there, so the tactics I need are these. But with this new information, actually the goalpost should maybe be here, and the tactics should be these instead. I think that's the difference in a go-to-market motion. Is all-encompassing for me means I need to talk to everyone about everything and come up with a really good plan. And then the plan will change. But that's completely fine. At least we have a really good direction. Then we can always align it.
So in terms of what you guys do with Neurons now, you mentioned in the beginning before you joined, or right when you joined, there was, let's say, webinars and LinkedIn posts here and there. That's kind of generic output, right?
Sure.
What would you say the output is now currently? I'm not asking about outcome, but just output in terms of where you put yourselves out there.
The answer is manifold.
Yeah.
But it basically is the sheer volume of output we do is maybe 50, 100x of what it was back then. But the quality is also, because we change what we think good looks like. Then we also have, as we talked about earlier, these things where, hey, we want to do this thing for a big thing. How do we break it down to smaller wins along the way? So like we'll do states of advertising, it's called. Like every year we'll do an industry report where we take literal neuroscience research, stuff done for huge corporations. We'll break it down into small segments, and then we'll give it to people. So we have an industry voice. So we have thought leaders in a space that is important for us. All of these, each individual like topic inside this could be its own webinar and all these things, so we can ramp up production. Then I do a lot of speaking gigs. The CEO does as well, and this is something we want to take further as well. Not just the speaking thing, but actually evangelizing things, thought leadership. And those I think are like the main drivers for now. It's because we need to position ourselves really well in the minds of people. And we do that by being present where they are, talking about things that coincide between what they think are interesting and what we think are interesting.
Okay. So you're essentially positioning yourself as these kind of key opinion leaders in your specific space.
Spot on, yeah.
And on top of that, you also have a lot of, I'm assuming, kind of performance marketing
100%
initiatives as well. So actually what I'm trying to get at then is that going from these few posts here and there that was kind of a Hail Mary, hoping to get stuff, to now a lot of measurable outputs, all based on insight, right, that you got both from your internal team and the customers that you interviewed. How then did you decide what output to prioritize? Because there's a lot of things you can do, right? You can prioritize on being key opinion leaders going to speaks, creating a lot more webinars, doing some, creating a lot of videos. How do you decide what to do? I'm just thinking from the perspective of somebody that's in a growth stage scale up, for example. How do they decide?
The Eisenhower matrix is a framework that basically says how much energy will it take for me to implement this and how much complexity is there, and then how much will I get out of it. And if you plot that into a chart and you say, okay, I have to put all my tasks into this, all of a sudden you'll get this priority list we talked about earlier, where some things will just make more sense to do than other things. And then it depends on where you are. Like in the growth scale, this is not relevant. But if you're in an established organization, then this does. The business will have some overall strategies and goals. Feed into those, right? And then if you're part of upper management, then you're also part of creating those goals. So you know why the reasoning were, and maybe you can kind of marry the two. Let's say you're not part of upper management, but you're still in something where there are business goals. Bring the people in. Like let's say you have a C-level leadership and you're a head of marketing. Talk to the CEO. Say, hey, I want to do a really good marketing strategy. I need to talk to you. Can you talk to me about the vision behind the company, the overall business strategy? Do all these things. The worst you get out of it is a really good conversation. The best you get out of it is a completely new way to view things.
Okay, that's interesting. And I think maybe just to contextualize all of this, now this might be some kind of some inspiration to draw from for people watching that are in the growth stages. But when you stepped into Neurons, I remember you in that talk you had where we met you the first time. The first year you had over 1,300% in growth. Here I'm reading in marketing revenue growth year on year. What does that really mean?
It means a lot of money.
Yeah, in the first year alone. And you also mentioned that it's always easier to get that big shift and change in the first year and then more difficult over time. But how do you feel you achieved that?
So I have a pretty good track record on that, right? Which means I've just failed a bunch of times in a lot of different things. So I know what not to do. Yeah. Which sort of means I have a roadmap for what I think works really well. And if I walk into an organization, I'm also very lucky in the sense that because I do some consulting, I get to view under the hood of many different companies and I can see what works well, what doesn't across the whole thing. So even if I'm in one role in one company, I have constant growth. When I joined, Neuron's marketing department was actually in a good state and had revenue generation. The reason why it was so drastic a shift is because we said, okay, we focus on this and then we are intense about that. Then we build a better, stronger strategy and we do these things. If they're not in the strategy, we don't do them. Like stop doing whatever this is, unless you can justify it. If you're like logically or revenue wise, this makes sense, let's keep going. So you had this kind of focus and clarity, and that's about it. Then you layer that on top with all the soft things, right? Like you build a really high performing teams. You coach people a lot. Like the first year, I think maybe I spent 40% of my time, 50% of the time just on coaching people. Like we want high performance, but I'm not going to go in from day one and say, be a high performer. Like it's not going to work, right? I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, hey, right now you're just kind of winging. Here's a framework called one thing a day. I want you to start using this now. This is how it's done. I'll guide you through it. And then in one-to-ones, we start talking about different ways of moving it. So you kind of say to the tasks, let's do the right tasks. Then you equip the people to be able to do those tasks very efficiently. And then I challenge people on time. Like, for example, let's do it here. How long does it take to create a podcast? Like from you start it to a finished production.
As in just production-wise?
Everything. Like from the moment that not you reach out to me, but from the moment you say, okay, now we set the whole thing up, we start shooting, we edit it, we launch it, everything.
More on your table.
Production now takes up half a day. We have that with 3 people. Then the planning, let's say altogether, also takes another half a day. And then the post-production, 20 hours. So
about a week.
About a week, yeah.
So the first thing I would say to you is, first of all, that actually sounds quite reasonable. Like that's quite well done. If the post-production takes 20 hours, figure out how we can do it in 10.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. And I wouldn't say figure it out. I'd say, how do we make it
do
take
that.
10, right? But then at the same time, I'd also, if you go like, I can't do it 20, but that's the 100% version. Okay, what does the 90% version look like? Let's figure out, what does it look like if you only use 10 hours? And then we agree on what we believe good looks like, and we do something. But all of a sudden, you're telling me that you can do a full podcast in a week. So why are we not doing 4 months? Okay, fair enough. Now we have enough content and all these things. So you have this kind of focus, and I actually got completely sidetracked on the question there. But you have the right tasks, the right people at the right time, and all of a sudden it goes. And to answer the second part you said, it's easy in the first sense because you bring all this kind of new knowledge into something, all these new ways of doing it. So easy is not the right word. It's simple.
Straightforward?
It's simple, yeah. It's straightforward. It's not necessarily easy, but it is straightforward because you're going to bring something that the company has never done before. Year 2 is very difficult. And that's why you like the tenure of marketing leaders are usually 2 years, is because year 1, you beat whatever the current status quo was, and you brought all this new stuff. Year 2, you have to beat yourself. Which means year 2 is a yardstick for how much you and your team grew as an organization. Because you did everything you thought you could, and now it's new stuff. So how much did you grow, right? And we did that. We doubled it again. And I think we're on track to doubling now in June. I have June here, and then I can see the number. But I think we're doubling it one more time. So it's going really well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you try to condense the points you make into your multi-step road to success for any marketing team? What would those key steps be?
Let's do it the way you said. So right now you want to explain this to a younger Andreas Obel, right? And he's stepping into the role as VP of Marketing for Neurons back in 3 years ago when you stepped in. How would you break down that roadmap for him?
Have conversations with smart people. The smart people being your stakeholders inside the organization and your customers. Map out what all of their most important things are and what they think is interesting. Look at the tasks that your current team is occupied with and draw a line between the task and the output, so revenue generation, branding, thought leadership, whatever the output is. Then based on the output, discard what doesn't work, throw it out. Don't look at it again yet. Then you take the current list that you have and you add everything that you think would be super relevant into a matrix where you go, what's the impact versus the complexity? And then you marry it up to a goal. So if you start from the back, which might actually make more sense, is you set a goal for what you want to achieve, revenue, whatever it is. Then you look at all the conversations you've had with people and you say, all of this would lead me to this, I'll put that in there. These things won't, I'll put that on a maybe later list. And then you make sure that your team has a clean runway, only doing the right task, and you focus on their growth and performance. And then you have a pretty good roadmap.
I mean, it sounds honestly, not easy, but simple. And I think that makes a lot of sense.
It takes a lot of trial and error to
make it simple.
Express it simply, I imagine.
Yeah.
Was it oh my God, that famous writer with the mustache? Oh, I can't remember his name. He said, I would have written you a short letter, but I didn't have time, so I wrote you a long one
instead.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. I also don't know who wrote that,
but I also know
someone did.
Yeah. I have one last kind of point. One thing we've experienced with a lot of different types of clients we've worked with now, marketing and sales often butt heads. Like not often, almost in 100% of the clients we've worked with. How do you ensure they don't?
So this is actually a really interesting topic for me because naturally I've been in that conversation many times, myself as well. And I hear like the same advice being given all the time. And it's usually something like set up alignment meetings and meet with the team and talk about progress. I think that's fine. I think it starts somewhere else. I think it starts with you need to incentivize people to do the same things and you need to align their goals. If you have an inbound and an outbound function, that, for example, when a lead comes in, they have to fight over it because they're like, oh, I get paid or I get paid. Cool. Immediately you have a fight. So, for example, the way we solved it is if outbound is working an account and someone inbound from it, they just both get a handover. Because I'm just pulling a number out of thin air here because I'm not going to obviously say the same thing. Let's say each of them got 100 kroner.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth the friction to save 100 kroner. Give them the 100 kroner, move on, right? And as soon as you do that, I think you're fine. And then it also starts on a leadership level. Our VP marketing, Brian, and I, like, we're good partners, right? Like, we'll have conversations about stuff. And again, you and me against the problem, not against each other. So if there is something...
What do you mean VP of sales or marketing?
I'm the VP marketing, he's the VP sales, right?
You said marketing, sorry.
Oh, sorry, for sales, good. If there's a challenge, we just talk about it. And I think this is the key thing. It's if there is a problem, we talk about it, we figure out what the solution is, because it's not a person problem, it's a process problem. If there is friction between someone on his team, someone on my team, a process broke down somewhere. And if there's a process somewhere that, breaks the relationships, let's change the process. If you can remove the friction points through shared goals, no incentives to change the systems in any way, and make sure the process don't create friction as much as possible, obviously, then you eliminate 99% of all the challenges. Now what you're left with is, the human ones. This person said that, I don't like it. Okay, let's have a conversation, right?
Well, that also makes perfect sense. A little easier said than done, to be honest, I would say.
100%. Building an outbound motion and then saying, but we have to treat it differently, but same. It's very complex, right? But it is possible, and we've done it multiple times. So, I can really recommend that.
Okay. All right. I've gotten kind of all my juices... what? Juices squeezed? It's all my...
Don't say that.
Which is... Wait, I want to do what he's doing. No.
So, to squeeze the juice.
Okay, let's go to the hot takes.
Let's do it. So, by now, we should know the drill. So, hot takes. Hot take section is we give you a hot take, and then you tell us whether you believe it's true or not, and very briefly... tell us why you believe it's a true hot take or not a hot take you agree with.
Okay, let's do it.
Hot take number 1. Marketing's job is to generate leads.
It can be just to generate leads if that's what the company wants, but why would you limit it to that when you can supercharge the rest of your organization with a growth engine?
Oh, this is an
straight from the website. I like it. Okay, big growth numbers are all about budget, not strategy.
No, definitely not. If you throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, you might get lucky, but you can't repeat it.
Team culture doesn't matter if you hit your targets.
Why would you whip people to hit a target if you can chill, have fun, and then shatter the targets?
Power statements here. Marketing, sales, and product should stay in their own lanes.
No.
That's a good answer. There's actually a lot of people that genuinely believe this. We've spoken.
Really?
No, not like but you mean like that. They want to find ways to kind of interact and work more efficiently with one another, but when push comes to shove, they find it extremely difficult.
It's like you're sitting on all this information in the business and you're like, let me keep it for myself. Why?
But then now the hot take segment is over. But regarding this one, where's then the sweet spot? Because you also don't want one super department that does everything. So where in your mind is the sweet spot between having silos and having one mega department?
I don't think either of those two need to be true. I can use a lot of information that product has in my marketing, right? And they can use a lot of the feedback that ads get in the market on something. So there should be a feedback loop, a feedback mechanism. And either it's a Monday board or a process, or it's conversations between people, or it's a sync, or it's a setup or something like that. It doesn't matter. But if one department has access to a bunch of information that can help others and they don't use it, that's just, again, they will be easy to beat.
Right. Let's move on to the Blitz Q&A, our last segment of the podcast, where I think it's also quite self-explanatory. We give you a question and you give a very quick answer.
Okay.
What's the one thing you wish someone told you? The one thing you wish someone told you before you became a marketing leader?
Lessons will be repeated until they are learned.
What would you reckon separates a good VP of marketing from a great one?
A good VP of marketing creates a strategy for their department. A great one creates a vision, a strategy, and a playbook for the entire company, and from a marketing perspective.
What are your thoughts on using AI in marketing strategy and execution?
Absolutely love it. Let's go.
Now, you talked about the size of your team. In this case, what's the first thing you'd try to reduce costs on the things that you guys do, and what's the last thing you touch?
First, it would be software and external. If there's like agencies or something like that, I just see value. If they create value, keep them. But if not, let's get rid of it. And the last thing I would touch is people.
What's your favorite advice on building network?
I don't think I'm the right person to ask because I'm not a big networker. I believe in building connections. So I don't have a huge network. What I have is a lot of people I can ask about stuff, but I have really good connections with fewer people. So I can probably call someone right now and both ask them for business advice and say, hey, I'm in a pickle, can you come pick me up? And they would probably both say yes, right? Even if it's a professional relationship. So I'm not sure I'm the right person to answer.
I'd say some people would call that network. No?
Maybe yes.
Because depends
Actually,
on how
that's a good point.
you would define network.
Yeah.
Right? If you weren't in marketing, what would you be doing?
Let's say I never stumbled into tech. I'd probably running a hostel somewhere in Southeast Asia, like legit.
Which country?
Like Philippines, Thailand,
Philippines mentioned.
Cambodia, something like that. Yeah, no, it's such a cool vibe, man. Such a cool culture. Yeah, I think that. And if it was now, let's say I could never do marketing again, probably do operations or sales.
Sales?
Yeah, just because I've never I've done it to some extent, but it's a field that will probably be like an evergreen. So it could be interesting to try something outside of my comfort zone.
And which job would you say prepares you best for the job you do now? And let's say it's not a job super adjacent to what you do. So
in marketing or as a leader?
Outside of marketing. What kind of job would prepare you, would give you a good foundational skill set for what you do now?
Obviously. For being a VP marketing?
Yes.
Gaming.
Actually, yes, gaming is really good. But at a high level. If you play The Sims, maybe not so much, right? But it's not really a job. I think any job that involves having a bunch of people doing different tasks, maybe for like running a kitchen, for example, being a chef somewhere, I think would really good, because what you're doing is you're essentially making really small adjustments to something, trying to reach an overarching goal on time. Maybe you can't bring the foul language with you, but you know.
No. Yeah. All right, and last one.
So can I ask, what's the best answer you've gotten to that one? Aside from mine, obviously.
Well, we had the film producer tell us he wanted to be a treasure hunter.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
And I think he argued along the lines that it's also all the clues you have to collect and bring together, and the crew you have to assemble and so on. So
that's nice.
I thought that was pretty creative. Yeah. Last question.
You have a lot of work with you and your team, a lot of stuff to manage. How do you unwind?
I don't think I do. Like I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything.
No way.
But I quite like my job, so it's fine. But also the second thing is, in any strategy we create, in any kind of OKR setting, we always allow for, let's say we do a OKRs for a quarter. We allow for like, let's say we do some goal setting. OKR is a goal setting framework called Objectives and Key Results. Let's say we do something for a quarter. We'll allow for like 2 weeks at the end to just have chill throughout the entire period. So I don't really feel that stress. We can go on the private side and say, how do I unwind from being a father of a 2-year-old that you are racing to be strong and independent while trying to survive that he's strong and independent, and saying, I go to work. Yeah.
All right.
Very good. Thank you so much for coming on. It was certainly very, very interesting.
Yeah, some amazing anecdotes, some shares, golden nuggets, some stuff that people definitely got a lot out of. But otherwise, Andreas, thank you so much for your time.
Gracias for having me.
We started in Spanish and then we end in Spanish.
Thank you for having me. Cool. Fit.
Well done.
Brand new. Timing is everything. What you say? Brand new.